Hey guys, Jacob from Franciscan Fireworks here for something completely different. I understand this is a fireworks channel. I apologize in advance to our subscribers and the people who come in to view this channel regularly, but this has got to be said. I had to do a review of The Last Jedi. I had to do it. I watched this movie. It stirred up something in me, and you know what? I'm just going to go for it. So if you don't want to know anything about the movie other than what you learned from my title, then don't watch this because you'll not appreciate all of the things that I tell you about plot points. So here we go. This is the short version. It's 8 things I hate about episode 8. I could have done like 100. So the first one is Carrie Poppins, right? Those of you who've seen the movie, absolutely, completely stupid. When Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia, gets sucked out of the spaceship and then like is out in space dead, and then all of a sudden here she goes, she does like this flying Mary Poppins like force pull thing back to the ship, and then they open the airlock door and nobody's hair even moves from the vacuum of space that just sucked her out when they opened the airlock door. But just completely stupid. We've never seen Princess Leia use the force like that ever. Number 2, like when you're out in space like that in the Star Wars galaxy, like it's presumed that you're dead, and this whole idea of her using the force to fly backwards is dumb. Why did she fly in space that close to the ship anyway? If you see how the bombs dropped out of the bomber in the first scene of the whole movie, then we've got a lot of weird inconsistencies going on there. Hated the Carrie Poppins moment, plain and simple. Number 2 would be the humor. The humor was absolutely ridiculous. Good storytelling in something like this, drama, action movies uses humor, but it uses humor in moments of tension to create lightness, right? Chewbacca does this several times. C3PO and R2D2 do this a couple times throughout the Star Wars saga, but to just have stupid things like that don't just cut the tension, but make characters look like they're just mocking things in general. Like the movie was making fun of the series itself by like Luke taking his lightsaber and like chucking it over his shoulder. I mean, George Lucas has said before that the lightsaber looks like Excalibur, right? And can you ever imagine any way where King Arthur would do that and it'd be even mildly appropriate? No, that was awful. It was stupid. Number 3 is the movie goes nowhere, and it goes absolutely nowhere. If you go from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie, literally the exact same thing is happening. The Resistance is evacuating a base and being attacked by the First Order. Exact same thing. The difference, Luke's dead and Snoke's dead. That's it. And that's it. That's the only difference. So even the side things, like where they sent Finn and Rose off on this side adventure, went literally nowhere. Nowhere. I mean, at the end of the movie, they were basically back in the same position they were at the beginning of the movie too. Absolutely dumb. Let's see. Number 4 would be running out of gas. First of all, that plot played out like a 20-mile-an-hour police chase through a school zone. I mean, it was agonizing the way it worked out. Second of all, the way it was resolved when, you know, the ship flew at light speed, you know, through the First Order ship, when you could have done that at the beginning if you wouldn't have let all your other ships, you know, and all those people on those ships be destroyed. And just, I mean, the whole thing, like running out of gas in Star Wars, has that ever been a thing? Like, I can't think of a time that's been a thing, really. So, I don't know. It just seemed super weird and just a really dumb thing. Like, they both seemed just completely incompetent. It made the First Order seem completely incompetent and the Resistance seem completely incompetent, and it was just dumb. Number 5 would be the death of Snoke. The death of Snoke was a complete and total letdown. Not that he died, but the way he died, he was made out to be this super powerful baddie. Like, the way that it happened was actually really cool, had he not been set up to be some amazingly powerful creature. Like, it would have been cool if he was like some kind of mid-level bad guy, right? Who had just got the jump on Rey and on Kylo, and it did not make sense for being that powerful, who could read minds, who had caused those two to connect mentally, who was tossing Rey around like a rag doll, all that kind of stuff, to die in such a stupid and anemic way. So that was that. Number 6 is men are dumb. And this is, I have no problem with strong female characters. If you like Star Wars in general, you probably don't have a problem with strong female characters. Why? Well, I don't know. Because the main character in the prequels, one of the main characters in the prequels was a queen, and she had a lot of power and influence over the story. If you didn't like that, then you wouldn't like those movies. Or how about a kick-butt princess who, gets taken hostage when she's, smuggling information, and then when her captors come to save her, she ends up basically saving them out of situations because she's tough and ready to go and strong, strong with her words and her deeds. That was the original trilogy. So I just don't, I just don't think that Star Wars fans in general have a problem with strong female characters. But in this particular movie, you have a situation where every male character on the good side has to be saved or rebuked by a female on the good side, and it's because they're all made out to be morons. I mean, the decisions the men make are dumb.
Now you see that evil will always triumph, because good is dumb.
I mean, you think about it, Poe has to be saved multiple times. The first scene in the movie, his plan that goes awry is saved only by a female pilot. I have no problem with that. And then, Leia rebukes him. I have no problem with that. Move on. And, you have Poe again. He has this idea, what he thinks would work, and he wants to know what's going on and what's the plan. And he's completely treated like trash by the female superior. Again, just those two things happen, not a big deal. But then he's kind of they condescend to him when they stun him, and talk about how oh, isn't he cute? It's kind of the attitude that they have towards him, and it just starts to get it's a theme where you can't have one male on the good side that does anything good, because next you have that Finn has to be saved, and who is he saved by? I mean, Finn's a hero already, right? And who is he saved by? He's saved by Rose the plumber. What? She shocks him and saves him from something, and then later on in the movie she saves him again, and it's just dumb. Even Luke Skywalker, Grandmaster Jedi, everybody's looking for him because they think he can save everybody, and he's off pouting on an island. He has to be saved by this teenage girl who, is just, I mean, has she even started learning the Force? She can do Force things, but I don't know. It just seemed like didn't come off to me like women are powerful. It came off to me like men are idiots, and it just kept. I kind of laughed because it reminded me of, you can't lift yourself up by putting someone down. That mantra we always heard when we were, in elementary school. And I don't think it made the women in this movie look strong. I mean, none of them looked nearly as strong as Leia in the original trilogy, or as Padme did in the prequels. They just, when your strength is over people who are incompetent, that doesn't really make you seem to be a strong, incompetent character. It just makes those other characters seem to be incompetent. So I felt like that was handled really poorly. Then Luke's character. I mean, Luke's character is absolutely assassinated. All the things about Luke, his loyalty to his friends, which is over and over and over again through his entire character development. If one thing's consistent, he's loyal to his friends and family. They just shoot that to death. Luke has been trained in the ways of the Jedi. He knows the Jedi were the guardians of the galaxy and kept peace in the galaxy for over 1,000 years. And then he calls the Jedi useless, and that it needs to end and all that kind of stuff. And then he just doesn't care. There's one thing you can't say about Luke Skywalker ever, and that's that he was, completely apathetic to things.
Not true. That's impossible.
And so this Luke was just apathetic. He was listless. and it just, nothing was similar in Luke's character to what it was before. And I understand you want to have some sort of character development, but you need to have some kind of connection to the old Luke other than his name, or else it doesn't make really any sense at all. I mean, not like we left him as a teenager. When we left him in the previous movies, he was in his 30s, so he had, there was something to him of substance that you would hope to see in this new character. And even then, like in the end, when he lets himself become one with the Force, what do you have? You have, everybody else is still in need. All he did is help him escape this one trap. It just didn't, none of that seemed Luke-like at all. And then number 8, and this is my biggest issue with the entire thing, this is the thing that really disturbed me. For those of you who don't know, Star Wars was originally written by George Lucas, and it was partially based on the hero's journey. This Joseph Campbell, who was this guy who studied myth, had brought together all these different threads of mythology that they all had in common. And he said, like, this is something that speaks to the human heart everywhere because it's consistent throughout religions all over the world, right? And in that were things like self-sacrifice, like the fact that although heroes are flawed, the thing about heroes is they always strive for the good. They're not selfish. And just they're willing to put themselves in harm's way for the good of the whole and things like that. And this movie just completely took that and just blew it to pieces. It obliterated it. And I could go on and on. I could talk about 20 different things in this movie that destroyed that part of the Star Wars mythos, of the philosophical content behind the first 6 of the Star Wars movies, even really you could say the first 8. But the thing that I think stood out the most was when you have Finn, this character who should be a strong male character but was kind of neutered in this movie, but he stands up and he decides, on Crate, that he's not gonna let the Empire win. The First Order win. He's gonna sacrifice himself by flying to his death inside of this cannon and blowing it up and saving his friends inside of this base. Right? He's going to. This has for the first time, this has real emotional weight to it, where he's going to make this big self-sacrifice. And as he's flying there, right before he gets there and destroys this cannon and saves all of his friends, that moron Rose, the plumber, how did she learn how to fly? I have no idea. She made a point earlier in the movie that her sister was the pilot, and that she was just someone who worked on the pipes, But anyway, she comes flying in and knocks Finn away. And if that wasn't bad enough, like, they cap it all off by him running over to her after they both crash, and she's laying there injured, and she says, "We're not going to win this thing by destroying what we hate. We're going to win it by saving what we love." Well, what the hell do you think that Finn was doing, Rose? He was saving what he loved. He was saving the Resistance, because the Resistance represents truth and goodness. And what are you doing? You're saving Finn because you think he's hot. It's just absolutely asinine. And Rose, like, her quote was supposed to be quotable. It was set up where it was like this some strong message, apparently a line that you're supposed to quote from this movie. And it was just awful. It just was gut-wrenchingly awful. She made this selfish decision to save one person that she liked, right? So that maybe they could, live on together. And what it did, it prevented that person from making a self-sacrifice to save lots of other people. And I like the character Finn. I did not want to see him die, to be honest with you. But that's part of what made it so powerful that he was going to die. So it's just absolutely ridiculous that they're changing the moral fiber of the consistency of what was good in the Star Wars universe, which speaks to what's good in mankind. So anyway, again, I apologize for all of our regular subscribers, but I had to make these 8 things that I hate about Episode 8, The Last Jedi. I would highly recommend that you don't go see this movie because it's awful. It is beautiful. It's actually very well acted. And there are some neat elements in it, but they just make a complete mess of Star Wars in it. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and hope you guys all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.